Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name's Granville.
My name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
My name's Az.
Oh, Az just got back in time there. You just disappeared briefly. Yeah, brilliant timing. Welcome to the Scoutcast listener. We are five gentlemen going to talk about fantasy football if you haven't joined us before now. And you join us for a Scoutcast, which leads into game week 31, which is a game week which we've done a fair amount of chat about in recent episodes. Just 4 fixtures, which should mean this will be a shorter episode, but I doubt very much because we've got a record of about an hour and 45 minutes for the last few. Let's see how we do. Jonty, what are we going to tackle tonight? Of course, it's all about the game week 31, but we're looking beyond that as well.
It will be, yes. So we're going to, first of all, we're going to look backwards and have a look, rake over the coals, the horror that was game week 30. Then try and forget that. Look forward to blank game week 31, and we're going to take each of the 4 matches at a time, kind of chew over some new issues, chew over some new contentious toffees issues. I understand a couple of us are ready to go to battle on that.
It's not Baines and Coleman again, is it?
Baines v Coleman.
Oh, it's like rolling back the years.
Yes, ding, ding. Seconds out. And highlight some key transfer targets. And then we're going to look ahead to game week 32 a little bit, and a tiny bit of early planning as well. There's some things we can start thinking about, but of course we'll know a hell of a lot more after the FA Cup matches.
Yeah, I mean, so game week 30 was torrid, to say the very least. It started with Salah's rather awful. I mean, I still can't quite understand how Man United managed to silence Salah so effectively, or whether Salah was unwell or something. I just thought he was like a completely different player. He was so on the periphery of that match. It was very, very odd to watch. Mane got a lot of the ball, but was ineffective for most of the time with it, apart from the assist. So that was a bad start to go. Then it got worse, ending with Harry Kane's injury on Sunday, of course, which tonight, lots of reports saying he's going to be out for quite a few weeks until May, which would rule him out of the double game week 34 for starters. So those 2 let us down, of course, which meant low scores all round, Jonty, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it was low scores all round for everyone because the average was 41. And we spoke about it earlier, and you picked it up as well, Mark, that it was actually the lowest average, game week average there's been, the joint lowest. Game week 8 also had 41. So that's how bad it was. It was bad for everyone, not just us. But there is one of us that it wasn't bad for. And I assume we're going to start our roundup of the game weeks with Andy.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let me take you back to 11th of December 1984 when a hero was born, Leighton Baines. Like I said last week, genius decision to bring him in.
Was he born in 1984?
Yeah, I've just looked it up on Wikipedia. I haven't had that prepared all day.
Yeah, I thought it was about 56, but go on.
No, 33 is. Yeah, like I got 51 altogether, 55 minus 4. Took out Sterling and Ibe, which didn't go too well, but I wasn't punished too much. But yeah, it was really the Everton defence finally chipping in with some points. Baines with his 12-pointer and Pickford with 7. Yeah, that's really it. And Mahrez as well chipping in for me and Ben Mee. So it was a pretty good week in what was an awful week. I went up 15,000 places. In classic FPL management style, I've still got something to complain about. I mean, Kane was a bit frustrating because he was my way up the mini leagues because people like Aguero captain and Salah vice captain. So I thought I'm quids in here. Kane's bound to get something against Bournemouth, and then that all went wrong. So that was a bit annoying, but still a good game. Yeah, 15k rise. Baines and Pickford the standout. Finally, a clean sheet for Everton.
So tell us, Andy, when Everton got that penalty, you must have thought, a penalty as well.
I was in 2 minds.
Banking it, surely.
No, I was in 2 minds. So I thought because I think I was watching it because in Ireland they show you one of the 3 p.m. games. So I was watching it live, but they weren't showing who had the ball, and they weren't talking about it very much. So I was just. A part of me thought he could have this, and then another part of me thought he could have this, and he's going to miss, and that's just going to be even more annoying. So I was in 2 minds. So I heard you just knew Rooney was going to miss that one. I don't know why when he's taking it. So that's maybe good for the next penalty at least. But yeah, I mean, 18-pointer off Baines would have been stuff of legend. Especially
after getting him last week, and we all took the mick a bit about getting him early, and he didn't turn up, of course. But when he plays, yeah, I mean, you got the clean sheet out of Everton, which was Everton one of many.
It was a welcome return.
Also, Ben Mee. I mean, that's the first Burnley clean sheet in 9 as well. So that's
first Huddersfield one as well.
Yeah, Everton. Yeah, exactly. Everton and Burnley both out of nowhere got you clean sheets, so you can't complain about that.
It's just one of those weird weeks. Yeah, I got Mahrez in 3 weeks ago, and he's done the business since. I mean, he scored 24 points over these 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Really happy with him, and probably want him going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been one of the few players that we talked about, players that weren't game week 31 options. Arnautovic and De Bruyne, I guess, and Hazard. These players were all players that we shouldn't ignore ahead of game week 31 just because they didn't play. But actually, Mahrez has been about the only one, other than Son, of course, which we're going to get onto, who has actually done well in recent weeks and done the business for you. 51 then, that's excellent stuff. John T, there's not a lot between the rest of us. In fact, next to nothing. John T is next on 42, crept ahead of the rest of us with Monday nights with the Otamendi 2 bonus points. He wasn't on bonus points at first, and he just leapt up. Even Ederson got a bonus point with 1 save, would you believe?
Yeah, it was Walker started to go down. It's what we were talking about last week. Walker getting punished for daring to move forward, daring to get dispossessed and all these types of things. So daring to shoot and missing. But luckily he did. And Otamendi crept in just by kind of shuffling the ball around a bit. Got 42, so just 1 above average. I took Sterling out for Van La Parra. It was a bit of I was looking around for a player and I thought this would be my kind of off the, bit left field really. But I looked at the stats. He had quite good underlying stats. I wanted a player that had 2 good fixtures, so I get 2 bites of the cherry before the wild card after all this horror show of the blank game week. Sterling, I was really worried about Monday. Whilst I was enjoying Otamendi's points and hoping for De Bruyne's points, the commentary was a nightmare listening to it. Sterling's doing this, Sterling's doing that, Sterling's shooting. Oh my God. It really could have been horrific, but I escaped, I think.
He was 1-on-1 near the end as well.
Yeah.
My heart was.
But I had to get Sterling out, really. I was just looking, my bench was starting to look a bit tired. We're all preparing for the game week 31. And I just thought I'm going to have a few missing bodies here. And Sterling at that stage looked like a definite miss. So that's fair enough. And I also weighed up. I said, do I want him on my wild card? And I kind of think I want David Silva instead. So that was the kind of clincher there. So, yeah, I'm up to 8 blank game weekers. Fabianski, my star, 9 points there. And in fact, this shows what my highlight of my week was the 0-0 at Huddersfield. I was cheering on those buses, parked them away, and then I had Fabianski and Schindler. And they pretty much, them and Otamendi, the only ones who got me anything.
It was an incredible match. The stats that came out,
it was just a massive bus. Ayew got sent off, and they just parked a massive bus in front of Huddersfield. And Huddersfield, I mean, give them credit, they went for it, but they just couldn't break them down.
I'm intrigued by when you said you're listening to the coverage on Monday night. Have you only got a wireless then in your house?
Yeah, I was just listening to it because I was doing some other stuff.
Okay.
Just having a listen.
I could just imagine you crouched around the fire with the wireless on.
And crouching down. And I quite like it, actually. It sounds a bit weird, but sometimes I quite prefer listening to watching some live match. It just depends.
I should try that next time I don't captain Salah. Like, don't watch it, just listen to the radio commentary and just.
It's worse because then they keep shouting Salah all the time. It's like,
there is that. Yeah. Okay, 42 for you. 41 for me. Not a lot to say. I got the pick for clean sheet as well. Zanka, I couldn't get Schindler because I missed the price rise overnight, and I just thought, well, go for Zanka. To be honest, there wasn't as much of a muchness based on the last 4 game weeks. Over the season, Schindler's been stronger. So I did want Schindler, but Zanka did all right in the end. They both got the same BPS. Mane got an assist, rather fortunate one, and got 2 bonus out of nowhere. Mane getting bonus, shocker. And Vardy got a fantastic goal, which only was worth 5 points because he got booked. So it was all right. I thought I was going to get a smidgen of a green arrow, but I got a smidgen of a red one instead. Granville 41 as well. You got Sterling out as well for Walcott. You were cursing that on Saturday. Got away with it though. Got away with it.
I was, because Walcott went off, didn't he? And I thought, oh god, it's going to be out for the next game week, because that was my transfer. And I have to say, I was in the same situation as John T and anyone else who sold Sterling coming to the Stoke game. And then I saw that he was in the starting lineup, and I think, oh god, I just know what's going to happen to him. And I think we were lucky. I think we were. And also, I have to say that I got out of jail, really, in this game week, because I was on it, I think, 18 points. And Son got me out of it. And Otamendi, the last 2 players, got me out of it and actually gave me an average score. Otherwise, it would have been terrible. So, same as Son again. I mean, I'm so glad that I kept him all those weeks.
Yeah, he's been outstanding for it. Of course, moved up front with Kane's injury. Very handy indeed. Got the 2 goals. He'd only got 1 away from home all season before that. But
yeah, you were saying
player.
last week, weren't you, that he wasn't going to do anything because he was playing away from home. But I mean, he's a good player. I don't really buy into that. He can score at home and not away. I
don't think I said he won't do anything. I basically said his record away from home is disappointing. He's bad, so he might. You got to expect.
You could say the same about all these clean sheets that suddenly appeared for teams who haven't had clean sheets in. I mean, Huddersfield didn't have a clean sheet in 9 games. Everton,
Burnley, Everton.
Yeah, Burnley. So it just happened there. Those got the clean sheet, and actually that cost me because my transfer was still in for Walcott, and I could quite easily. I mean, I did say it last week that I was thinking of getting Schindler, didn't do it. I guess because I think I might had a bit of a dilemma whether I should play Schindler or Dawson. In the end, I mean, the West Brom. I can't keep a clean sheet. I just figured that you might be able to get on the end of one across the corner. So I thought, well, I'm not going to play Schindler, so I'll have a look at removing one of the midfielders. Sterling was the obvious one because he's not playing game week 31. And then it was like, who do I get? And actually, I was going to go for Van Leeuwen as well. In the end, it didn't. I don't think it's made any difference. I got Walcott, bit of ribbing from Jonty, of course, but we'll see next week. He's still got next week. I know it's an away game. It might turn out. Well, it might turn out well for him, but unfortunately, Sigurdsson's now got an injury. I think he's out.
Looks like he's going to be out. Yeah,
and he's been the worst, probably one of the worst transfers this season because I took him out 2 weeks ago for Bernardo Silva, who went and scored 3 weeks ago, and who went and scored 2 goals. And I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about what I was going to do on game week 31, and I wasn't convinced that I should just do the transfers and not play my free hit. And I was thinking about it, and I made the choice to do what everyone else has done on the Scoutcast and just and play game week 31 rather than playing the free hit. And I think that's big costly, really, when you think about it, because I was talking about getting Willian, and he scored 2 in the last 3, and I was also thinking about Mahrez, and he scored 2 in the last 3 as well. So it wasn't a good decision, really, and maybe we can't really judge that now until game week 35. When we do end up playing, that's probably the week I'm going to play the free hit. But now it doesn't look so good, especially with Sigurdsson missing, and that's going to cost me 4. Plus, all the mistakes with getting him in the first place. It's a bit costly, but I can't complain because I'm actually doing quite well. I think I'm 20. I think I took a little bit of a drop. I think I've gone down a little red arrow this week, but
you stayed ahead of me. You're still 15 ahead of me, thanks to Sam.
That's what that's what counts.
That's what really matters. I mean, it's interesting because I look at the fact that I got game week 31 assets in as well, but I can only really regret it if I missed out on players. And I mean, you say you would have got Willian. I can't really put my hand up and say I would have got Willian. Would I have got Mahrez? Yeah. Probably not. I would have kept Hazard, and that's the only way I could have got Mahrez. So to be honest, the game week 31 players I got in were kind of in the same bracket as the players I got rid of, and I wouldn't have. Like we talked about Arnautovic a few weeks ago, and Az raised him 3 weeks ago, and I went, actually, I should have got Arnautovic over Walcott. He's got one more point than Walcott. So the players that I probably would have got would have done badly anyway. So actually, that's quite nice because I look back and think I can't regret it too much because I wouldn't have had the nous to get the players like Son or Willian or players like Mark.
I think mine was Silva and Sterling, so I would have got.
Would you have got Silva in? Oh, Bernardo Silva.
No, Bernardo Silva. I would have got. I'd have got rid of him anyway. I think because I wasn't sure of his, and probably Silva, but I don't know. I mean, I was even looking at Arsenal assets as well, and we spoke about that again. And I thought, in the end, nah. And Ramsey was dropped, wasn't he? Or he was rested.
Rested, yeah.
So, I mean, you can look back and regret it a little bit. I think we've still got next week to consider, and it might actually turn out okay. Who knows?
Absolutely, we've got to be positive. Okay, Az, talking of being positive, 36 points. Finally got rid of Lingard, and he at least he didn't score for you. He was pretty average to say the least, and he was benched obviously against Liverpool. Came on but did nothing. I did think when he came on he might punish you, but he got away with it. Pritchard didn't get you much. How else did it go, Lo?
Yeah, it wasn't great. Pritchard got 2 more points than Lingard, so I'm taking that as a success. Yeah, I mean, the only really good decision I've made in the last kind of 6 or 7 weeks is getting Mahrez in when I backed him and got him. I mean, if I hadn't bought him in, it would have been an even worse week. I was just looking at my ranks before I came on, and in game week 25, I was ranked at 5k. My highest between then and now has been 4.7, and my lowest is now, which is 6.2. So that just shows, it's been so stale, just stagnated all this time. It's a nice position to be in, but I mean, for the amount of thought I've put into my transfers and the amount of effort you put in, and just you can't move up, you don't go down.
Yeah.
It's been a frustrating few weeks, and it's all been leading up to this week. So hopefully, going to get a big green arrow and move on from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to look at it positively. But you're right, it has been. I think the last 3 or 4 game weeks have been quite level. And, I mean, Granville's done well because of Son, but I don't think anyone's had a series of outstanding game weeks amongst us. We've kind of leveled out a bit in the last 2 or 3. But we'll see. I mean, it's all about now. Obviously, we're going into game week 31, and we've got wild cards to play after that in 32 or 33. We're going to talk about them tonight. And then, obviously, we're hoping, the game week 34 double game week should be confirmed very, very soon after game week 31. So let's talk about our community questions now. We've got some rough with the smooth, first of all, though. Are there people who did worse than the average of 41 out there? Or I say it was level, perhaps there weren't.
Yeah, we've got some really bad ones here, actually. I just picked out a couple. Jarvis got 26 points. He swapped out me for Hegazi, so he missed Burnley's first clean sheet in all season, practically, for Hegazi. And game week 31 fever kicking in there. Zanka was actually his only return. He had Aguero captain and then Kane vice-captain. So...
Yeah, Bowstring did the same. He had the same as well.
Green Windmill is one of quite a few people who admitted to getting rid of Son for Walcott, which, given what we were talking about Walcott last week, I did laugh, to be honest. But it is, I mean, it's sad. No, it's sad. But getting rid of Son for Walcott there. He tried to make out that there was something else going on, that he would have almost got so-and-so, but basically got rid of Son for Walcott. Captain Kane as well. And he had Jordan Ayew to really rub salt into those wounds. Smooth, though. There were some people out there who had some good game weeks. They were very pleased to come forward. They're
75, JT.
JT, 75. Aguero captain, Mahrez vice-captain. The stuff dreams are made of. He moved from 120,000 to 15,000. He is in a really good position now to kick on.
So he's done that in the last 4 games. So what I just spoke was utter rubbish. Then we haven't all leveled out because
some people have, but he did it. It was like what we were talking about a while ago when you were doing your differential captains and you were going for Kane. The Mahrez is bang on who people should have been captaining for a differential captain because he's got much lower ownership, and it just circumstances this week got lucky. Aguero not showing up, Kane also getting injured as well, but he also had Fabianski, Otamendi and Son as well, so everything went right for JT.
Very nice.
QG got 74 points. This is where he's been hanging on to his Arsenal assets there. Finally they came good. He owned Mustafi, Mkhitaryan, and he captained Aubameyang as well, so that's amazing. Awesome. He went up 215,000 in the rankings. So that everything came together there. And why do I play FPL? I like this one. I like his name as well. He's got 60 points, a little bit lower than that, but great score nevertheless. He was looking for a differential captain again. He knew everyone was going to go for Kane in his mini league, so he went for Aguero. That was his sensible move. Aguero doesn't show up. Who's his vice captain? Son. Brilliant. Wow. Amazing. Wow. So he's up to 23,000 in the rankings. Absolutely rocketed. So this game week has completely transformed his season. So we're all mulling, sitting around in the mud really. And he's just flying off there.
See, imagine his feelings then, because he would have heard about the Aguero injury Sunday morning. I think it broke, didn't it? Sunday morning, Aguero injury. And so before the Spurs game, he was like, I've lost my captain. And Son's my vice-captain. There was some thought that perhaps Lamela would start because he started the last away game. And it looked like some could blank after an hour, but then he went up front and got 2 goals. So an absolute roller coaster for him that Sunday. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Okay, let's look at the community questions then, because it's all about game of 31, of course.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it a match at a time. We can do it this week because there's only 4. So it's a good way of doing it as well, because in a way, you've got to look at which team you think is going to win, lose, keep a clean sheet, because that could alter our tactics. So, for example, you could double or triple up on defenders from a particular team if you've got a free hit chip or indeed just want to take some hits. So it's particularly important in terms of kind of minimising clashes. And so lots of people asking who the main players are, if any, we'll be targeting. And we'll come up. There's a few stats and stuff, but we can also go with our kind of gut feeling as well. But this first up, let's go for Bournemouth against West Brom. So Powerbug96, I want a Bournemouth forward, he says. Will Wilson keep his starting spot? Wilson has not scored for a little while. Is Josh King a better option? And Eric Klump, are Bournemouth strikers too much of a selection gamble? Is Stanislas the best bet? And also, should we just be targeting rock bottom side West Brom, loading up on the Bournemouth attack? And in terms of in terms of the attack, just to have a couple of little stats here about the goals. Bournemouth have scored 21 at home recently, and that's the 9th best. West Brom have conceded 13 over their last 6 away games as well. So they're pretty poor away, and very recently they're pretty poor away. So that says to me there's going to be goals on the Bournemouth side, and West Brom are going to concede. That's what's going to happen on paper. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bournemouth-West Brom is one of the, after the Liverpool game, the easiest to call in terms of result, I would say. But Bournemouth are unpredictable, as we've said in previous weeks. Probably the most unpredictable team. But I think they will win this game, I think. Whether they will keep a clean sheet, don't know. I think I'd probably want a Bournemouth defender, though, because I think if you're not going Liverpool defender, then your choice is really quite narrow, and you're looking at Stoke and Bournemouth, really, or Huddersfield. So, and we've got to have 3 defenders. So I think that I think the question about the Bournemouth attack is spot on. I think it is difficult to pin down one of the strikers. I think Wilson, King, Defoe could all share the minutes. I would have thought Wilson and King start, but I think one of those two, certainly Wilson, could be off after the hour. So I'm going Stanislas probably if I'm going to cover their attack. I would say another name I'd throw in there, Adam Smith, because he's playing right midfield and he's a defender. So I think if I had a free hit, or if I didn't have Daniels already, I would be getting Adam Smith in as my defender, and I'll be going Stanislas in midfield, and I probably will be going Stanislas this week. So I'm going with 2 Bournemouth players. I've got Daniels already, and I will get Stanislas. But Adam Smith would be the other name that I'd throw in. Andy, what do you think about Bournemouth? I mean, are you backing them? Any sign of West Brom getting anything out of that game?
I wouldn't be betting on a Bournemouth clean sheet, that's for sure. I think actually Rondon could be an outside bet to get you some points who no one is going to be looking at. So if you need a complete punt out of all the punts there are, I think Rondon could do okay. But yeah, I think you got back a Bournemouth win. If I was free hitting, I would probably, maybe you mentioned Smith maybe, but I think I'd be looking at maybe tripling on that attack, potentially going Wilson, King and Stanislas. I think they're all part of the best 11. Bournemouth haven't really got much else to play for right now, and they're not safe yet either. I don't know. I don't think at this point West Brom can really afford to keep sitting deep. I think they've got to try and attack, even if they haven't got a very good attack. So I think it could, like you said, aside from Liverpool, I think this is the best match for attack and return. So I'll be looking. It's a bit annoying, really, because their strikers, out of all the ones that are playing this week, like stats-wise, are actually right at the bottom. But then I look at the fixture and just think it's West Brom, the worst team in the league. You've got to back them. So I'm probably looking at Wilson. I keep thinking back to last year and how well King did, and I know that means nothing. But when you see how many times Clint Dempsey was mentioned for being a double game week hero, I wonder if King could be the blank game week hero. So I'm definitely looking at him. Stanislas will depend on Walcott, basically. But yeah, I think he's probably the number 1 target if you're free hitting Stanislas.
Yeah, I mean, if I was free hitting, I probably would go King. If I had free reign, but I'm not going to take a risk on that with a points hit. Stanislas, I'll get in. As your thoughts on Bournemouth?
Yeah, so John T sent over a stats table earlier, which had Stanislas over the last 4 as the most goal attempts.
Over the most 6 as well. Yeah,
over the most 6. Ahead of Salah and Firmino, and free kicks and things. He's a player who's done well for me in the past as well. So he's kind of become my number 1 target. I think Salah and Firmino are a must, and then one other Liverpool. And then I originally said Shaqiri, but actually I think Stanislas could be one of the best people to go for. Wilson's a funny one. I thought he had a decent enough game against Spurs, which I think was well needed because he's been quite off form lately. I mean, the goal he got disallowed was really soft. I thought I couldn't really see much wrong with it when I watched it. And he won a couple of free kicks in dangerous positions, and I think he looked quite decent. So I'm hoping that it keeps his start. I'm not 100% sure if I'd buy him though. If I didn't have him, I would probably go for Josh King over him. I can see a Bournemouth win, but I can't see a clean sheet. So probably 2-1 Bournemouth, something like that.
Okay, so no defender for you then from Bournemouth.
No.
Okay, Granville, your thoughts on this? Are you falling for Josh King as well?
I guess was he just benched at the weekend because of playing?
He wasn't
Spurs?
fully fit. No, he wasn't fully fit. So
yeah, do we think that he's going to start? I mean, he's going to start behind Wilson as you'd expect him to. But the start of this Musa, and he actually looked quite dangerous at times. I just wonder. I don't think he's 100% certain to start. I don't. I think he's good though. I mean, he's the one that I'm looking at because I'm probably going to sell Kane. I might as well, especially if they're going to play the wild card next game week, and I'm losing nothing on him anyway. He went down last night to 12-8, and that's what I bought him for. The other player who hasn't been mentioned, and I'm not sure what's going on with him, is Fraser. Well, there's but there's also Fraser as well. Now, what's going on with him? Why did he not get a start?
He was back on the bench. I mean, he's back from injury and back on the bench at the weekend. But the formation that they play, I think if they play 4 at the back, Fraser doesn't get in. So I don't see them changing that formation for West Brom. It's a game they should win, so they're not going to play 3-man defence.
Yeah.
So
they're just not a good shout, I don't think, for clean sheets. I worry about, and they do have players who can score actually at the back. Adam Smith, Steve Cook. They do get amongst the attacking returns now and again, and they may be worth a punt. You need a third defender, and I think a lot of people might need one. I mean,
absolutely. We've got to play 3 defenders. So I think if you're not going to go Van Dijk or Robertson, where are you going? So I guess we're going to talk about Everton defenders later on. But I mean, Jonty, what's your feelings on it? I think Stanislas for me stands out, but beyond that, unless I was free hitting, I wouldn't go elsewhere.
Yeah, Stanislas is a player I'm probably not going to get, and he's the player this game week that I don't own that I fear the most, and that's because, as Az said, he's had 16 shots over the last 4 game weeks. That's more than anyone. He's had 5 of those shots on target. It's just one less than Firmino. So he's in that type of territory. I think he's also on a list put forward of chance creators as well. So he's also on a list of those that are creating the most chances. That's 6 key passes the last 4. So he's got that multiple routes to points as well. Midfielder as well, so he gets more for a goal. He just looks the best option by miles in this. In fact, I think he's just the standout. Get him, forget the rest.
And you're not getting him.
I'm not going to get him because I have one midfield space left, and it's going to go to Mane. So as good as I think Stanislas is, I'd be more worried about Mane, to be honest. So that's the way I'm weighing it up. But nevertheless, so yes, he's good. I do think Rondon's going to get something. The reason is Bournemouth are absolutely awful at the back. They've conceded 99 attempts in the last 6 game weeks. That's top. That is worse than West Brom. That's why I think there's going to be goals in this. Rondon has actually had 12 shots in his last 4. And he's actually been scoring as well. He's been scoring quite a few goals. Not a lot. And people are not noticing him from a fancy point of view because he's not getting bonus and he's not doing much else apart from scoring. So he's getting like 6 points.
And because he's Rondon.
Yeah. But
so
nevertheless, looking at Bournemouth's awful defence and the fact that he does score, I think there's goals in this game. I think Bournemouth are going to win it 3-1 or something like that. Rondon will score. Stanislas, I'm just going to get a big sofa and avoid.
Sofa territory, is he, Stanislas?
In game week 31, he is potentially because he's such a small pool of players.
2% ownership, though.
Yeah, it's very. But I don't know. I think it depends where I am in the rankings. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of free hit chips, and there's going to be a lot of people taking hits, getting players in. And there's going to be a lot of people who are looking at the stats. These are people who would be fancy Football Scout members. There'll be people, whatever they're doing, they're looking and they know what they're doing. I think they're going to get Stanislas in. So I'm worried.
Are you just making one transfer this year? Is that the plan to get Mane in? That's it?
No, I might make another one.
I was going to say,
Mane is one I'm targeting. I'll speak more about him in the Liverpool section.
Yeah, the only reason I ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the only reason I say that is because I want to get Stanislas too. I need to get Mane. But I'm now thinking maybe going for a Liverpool defender because I don't think there's too much. There's not that many defence watchers.
We'll
taking the hit.
We'll definitely come on to that because, you might better tempt me with that, definitely.
Okay, let's move on.
Just echo what you say about Stanislas.
Let's move on to Stoke versus Everton. Tougher one to call. I would say Stoke would probably get the win, we'd expect. Not quite as one-sided as Bournemouth West Brom, based on the fact Everton won last weekend, I guess, and the fact they've got two players back at fullback who know what they're doing, and Jagielka's back as well. We've got some questions on this one.
Yeah, so Chaz Button, is it better to opt for the multiple points routes of Baines and Coleman as opposed to Walcott due to their attacking threat and potential for clean sheets? Chaz Button, he also said is opting for Butland better than any of the Stoke defenders. And Phil O'Connor, are many on here overlooking Everton for game week 31 based on their past form this season? He's been impressed with Coleman and Baines and Jagielka back, replacing Kenny, Martina and Williams. He thinks they could potentially be a bit of a tighter outfit there. And Balassi is another one he's mentioned as well, who he thinks is looking quite good as well. And Thunder Mike, is it worth ditching bad game week 31 players? He mentions Walcott there. And also Choupo-Moting. For a hit. He's so disillusioned with players like Choupo-Moting and Walcott that he's wondering, and he's looking at these other players, is it worth getting them in? It's a free hit chip viable option. I think for this it might be good to go to. Now I know Az and Andy have been building up to this all day. They've been, been training in the boxing ring, everything like this,
chasing chickens up steps. And stuff.
I know Az is very keen on Coleman. He has Coleman in his side. Andy obviously is practically married to Leighton Baines. And I think it's probably best that we go over to them to see if they put their case. So let's go for Az first with Coleman. Why should people be getting Coleman in Az?
God, I'm like endorsing him. I only tweeted just saying I was interested in him. I haven't got my side yet. I haven't got my, but I'm gonna have to now, aren't I? Because the rivalry's on. So I mean, there isn't many stats to go by from this year because obviously Coleman's only played one or two games. So I looked at last year. I don't know if you've seen how close their points were last year. So Coleman got 4 goals, 4 assists. He played 2,316 minutes and got 133 points. Right, 133 points is the key there. Baines got 2 goals and 5 assists, 2,819 minutes, and got 135 points. There's 2 points in it between them for last season. The difference is that Coleman got that in 500 minutes less. So, that's what 5.5 games less than Baines, and he got the same points. And I can't help but think when you watch Everton play, Coleman is the person who gets forward more. And I think that to me is what you look for, first of all. I mean, the set pieces are nice, but if you've got a player who gets into the most attacking positions, that's the first thing that I go for, and the set pieces are a bonus around that. Coleman gets attacking returns. He's done it for years now. He's back in the side. He's only had 2 or 3 starts. He's already got an assist. Just fancy him to carry it on. It's 1 week as well. I mean, price would be a big factor. Like I would say there's probably not that much in it for the price. But if you're losing someone like Kane or Hazard or someone, I mean, I did a quick draft, and I'm going to have like 11 million in the bank after I've done my transfers, which is just completely ridiculous. So price doesn't matter. So I think get Coleman is just more attacking.
And so, Andy, what about Baines? Baines is better than Coleman, isn't he? Surely.
This feels like one of those debates you see on like American TV shows or American school shows. I actually think there's very little reason to go Coleman now because it is 1 week only. So the amount of minutes and points per minute don't hugely matter when it comes down to 1 point. I think I would have probably said Coleman a week ago. This is how quickly things change in FPL. I just think now that Sigurdsson's probably out, he's going to be on more set pieces. He's very likely he's now on penalties as well. It's hard to compare him this season because Coleman's been injured for so long. But against Brighton, Coleman had a shot in the box. Baines had none, but Baines had more touches and obviously got the assist from being in the box. So, yeah, price doesn't matter. I just think 1 week only, I'm going to back the guy on set pieces and penalties who also got into the box more times than Coleman did. And in the second half especially, looked pretty good. The only thing that I suppose is maybe slightly worrying is he's playing Stoke, so Shaqiri's on his side. down the right, I think, for the most part. So maybe that's going to make him have to defend more than Coleman will on the right against Choupo-Moting. So you got that to look at. But I just think it's really swayed into Baines' favour now. I think if you haven't already got one of them and you're only getting one, I think you just go for Baines. He's on set pieces and penalties, and they can be the deciding factor in what I think is probably going to be a fairly low-scoring game.
I've got to say, I think the set pieces are strong, because I think if Sigurdsson was playing, he'd be on all of them, wouldn't he, Siggy? But I think Baines will take a fair share of them, and it could come down to a set piece. I think we've got to look at this fixture, and I do think it's going to be either 0-0 or 1-0 to one of the two teams, probably Stoke. But a set piece could be the all we get out of it, or an assist out of one of the players might be all we get out of Shaqiri or Baines maybe. Don't think we're going to get big points here. And I do favour Baines at the moment, mainly because of the Sigurdsson injury. And he might get penalties, and Everton might even get in the box and win a penalty. You never know. But I think it's a very difficult fixture to call. And it's certainly, you look at Bournemouth West Brom and think could be 4 or 5 goals in that. But this one, you don't look at that and think that. I think that Big Sam will turn up and defend, try and get a clean sheet. Stoke have been a lot stronger defensively and don't have a great deal of threat unless they play Peter Crouch. So I think Baines is probably a good bet. And if we're not, like I said about Bournemouth defenders, where are we going to get our defenders from? If you're free hitting, I think Coleman or Baines, I would favour Baines, looks good. Granville, what's your views on this game?
No, I do agree with that. I mean, Stoke have only let in 6 goals in 8 games, so they're not going to give up too many goals. And so actually, I'm not too bothered about not having 2 Everton attackers. I'll just have Walcott, if you call him an attacker. now, John C. I think I'm actually looking towards Baines. I think he convinced me. Az didn't convince me with his argument about Coleman, even though I do like Coleman as a player. I really do. And he's got his
mind games, Granville. Trying to put you off him.
His ownership's tiny as well, 0.8, which might move me that way. It's just the fact that Baines could be on penalties and free kicks that could tempt me. I'm looking elsewhere. Because I think a lot of us will have looking for a third striker. How about Calvert-Lewin? Is he going to... I expect him to start, actually. I think I think we're going to... Somewhere you're going to have to take a risk, I think, if you want to make score good points this week. And I think... and the other player is Balassi, who, he's lining. He could... he's the type of player who can surprise you. I had him quite a lot last season. He was really disappointing, but he's just one of those players who's got performance in him. On the Stoke side, I don't know. I think Shaqiri is the obvious one, and I don't have him. I was pretty certain I was going to get him for this game week, but I'm having second thoughts now, and I guess that's because he didn't score last week.
I just think Shaqiri's so important to Stoke. Even against City, I thought he played a decent game. He's the most likely.
He is, but you've only got a couple of. I mean, I've got 2 free transfers, and I might make 3 transfers. It's just I don't know whether Shaqiri's going to be one of them, because I'll need a striker, a midfielder, and a defender. I have to get a midfielder to replace Sigurdsson, and a defender. So I have a feeling that Shaqiri will be the one that I'll be worrying about.
Yeah, for me though, the Stoke Everton game isn't the fixture to take the risks in. I think there's better ones: Bournemouth, West Brom, and Huddersfield Palace. I think more likely to have goals.
And that's why think you have to get if you spend your midfielder on Stanislas, or then I mean I could load up the midfielders, but I only need one. I think, because I want to play 3 strikers.
Okay, fair enough.
One final thing on Coleman. It's St. Patrick's Day when he plays.
Yeah, of course, that's going to make a big difference, actually. Didn't think about that. The argument is one. How come Andy didn't know that as an Irish visitor?
Yeah, so all those Patrick's Day celebrations in Stoke, he went on the sitting.
Unbelievable. The locals are beating
a pint of Guinness before the game for him would be sorted.
Exactly. Jonty, your views on Stoke Everton, other than fact, I don't want to hear about Walcott again, so leave him out of it. Or Pickford, don't want to hear about him either. So try and talk about Stoke and Everton without talking about
they're not on my list, as you would imagine. Baines has been, and one of the reasons is, particularly for my team, once I get Mane in, I'm stocked up on, I've got my attackers. That's it. So I'm then only in the market for a defender or a goalkeeper. The fact that Rooney, it just all seemed to conspire. Rooney getting taken off penalties, Sigurdsson then getting injured, that really peps up Baines in the pecking order. It's possible he'd get bullied off him by Tozen, but I don't think so. Tozen's so new to the squad. I just think Baines will have that kind of authority over him for that one. I had a look at last 4 matches. So we have had a few. Coleman's actually had 3 and a bit matches recently, and Baines, you have to go back a tiny bit, but he's also had the one, but then the 3. So he's actually had 2 goals, both penalties, and 2 assists in his last 4. That's a really good record. And he's had 3 chances, took 4 corners, and his XG involvement was 1.86. That's pretty much kind of on par, really. Coleman, no goals, 1 assist, no corners, 3 chances. So I'm looking at multiple points routes here. So if I think there's an off chance of a clean sheet, obviously they're both even there. Baines being possibly on penalties, and those other things as well. He's on corners, could be taking free kicks as well. I like that a lot. Stoke defence, I'm tempted by Butland. I've already got Jack Bauer in from TV's 24, but that's what's slightly putting me off Butland, doubling up on the Stoke defence. I quite like the idea of kind of hedging my bets a bit with a bit of Everton. Shaqiri, obviously, 8 chances created last 4. That's quite good. 2 goals, though, from 4 shots. That's unsustainable, as we have been watching. He has not scored very recently. So that's unsustainable. If I was in Granville's position, I was looking for a midfielder. A while ago, a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said Shaqiri. Now I would say if you've got a choice between Stanislas and Shaqiri, I think Stanislas has now edged that, I think. And also the other thing with the Everton, just a final point, the Everton defence, is going back to that initial question, really, from Phil O'Connor there. Yes, they did look a bit better. I know it was at home and I know it was against Brighton, but that defence is different. It's completely different personnel, really, to the usual one. And it's a new proposition, really. So we can't really go with those old defensive stats. They could get hammered, but I don't know. This looks to me like it could be 0-0.
Yeah, I don't see Everton
with a 1-0 somewhere, and it'll be something like Shaqiri scoring from his 1 shot, or Baines getting a penalty. It'll be something like that.
I agree. I think it's going to be 1-0 at best. I don't see either team conceding too much ground. Butland is probably. I still think Butland's the best choice for keeper, though. Looking at what we've got. We're going to look at keepers later on, I think, but I do think he is. I mean, just incredible 19 save points in the last 13 game weeks, I think it is, or is it 17 and 12? Really high returns on save points. He's only failed to get a save point in 1 of his last 13 game weeks. So he's been brilliant. I mean, whether he'll get saves against Everton, I don't know.
I'll go further with Butland is in a class of his own when it comes to the game week 31 keepers. He's making minutes per save is 15. Then the next nearest is Pickford at 21. And Butland's made 24 saves in the last 4 matches. It's all over the last 4 matches. And Pickford's the next. Pickford, Hennessy, and Pickford and Hennessy next nearest with 17. So there's a massive gap there. Butland's just cruising away. And as we've all pointed out, we're all sitting there with millions in our banks now. So it doesn't matter that Butland's 5 million and Hennessy's 4.3. Irrelevant. Just get the best one. If you're in for a market for a goalie, got to be Butland.
I'd have thought so, but you watch Canizares get a big score at Anfield because he'll make like 12 saves or something. I mean, anything could happen. We've seen goalkeepers do well in double game weeks. I wonder whether a goalkeeper can come out the blank with a good score. Okay, and also just look at Thunder Mike's question. Ditching bad game week 31 players for a hit. I've got Colin Quaner and I'm holding him. So I think my answer is, I think if you've got a player who's got a chance of playing in game week 31, unless it's John Joe Kenny, who didn't have a very big chance, so I got rid last week, you just keep them, don't you? I mean, I don't.
I've got in the ass.
Yeah,
and I'm not expecting more than 20 minutes. I agree with what was said earlier. I do think Calvert-Lewin could start. I think he's going to have to go to the land of the giants at Stoke, and it's just not a Nias game, really. But having said that, it could be him that scores that last-minute winner in a boring 1-0 in the last 10 minutes. So,
he's done it before. He's come on and scored goals in the final minutes.
Got to keep him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And chop and moting, definitely. You just never know. And if they're on the pitch, they can get points, can't they? I think Walcott will be on the pitch. I don't think Everton will score many goals though, but we'll see. I mean, I think that's the toughest fixture to call out of the 4, to be honest.
No one's mentioned Tucson.
Yeah, he's in form, and I think Jonty's point about bullying Baines off penalties is a worry, because I think we've seen Baines go soft like that before, haven't we? Where he'll just go, "All right, you have it then, that's fine." And I think both times that's happened, the penalty's been missed, because you've got to think Rooney got him off it for this week.
Puts people
Morales,
off,
wasn't it?
I think with Tozen, two goals from 4 shots. So that's not that. Once again, you start looking at that, as we've been seeing with Shaqiri, it's not sustainable. That's the thing. If I was getting Tozen in, it'd be more of if I'm looking at a long-term picture. And we don't have time for that. We don't have time to see if he's going to up his shot count like Stanislas has. We just don't have time. So for me, it's got to be Baines or Coleman over him.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with that. Okay, let's look at Huddersfield Palace. This is one which suddenly had a twist, really, because Zaha's come back into the frame, hasn't he?
Yeah, so Robert Woolley asked Benteke or Zaha, and why? And FPL Macedonia, do you prefer Huddersfield defenders or Palace attackers such as Zaha? So this is what we were going back to earlier. This could be one of those games where you can really kind of go all out on something. So if you really think that Palace won't score, you could really load up on Huddersfield defence. And if, by the same token, if you really think Palace are really going to score, then you can start loading up with them. So this is one of those quite tricky ones, really, to call. Personally, I wouldn't know which way to go. It's a really hard one to call. Both of them have their frailties as well. And I think there's lots of good options here, potentially. I've got Van La Parra over the last 4. He's had 6 shots, which has been 6 chances he's created, which has been good. Moy is the king of those, though. He's had 9 in his last 4, 9 chances. So if you're looking at a midfielder now, you want a free hit, I think Moy could be the one. Pritchard's pretty good as well, 7 chances. A bloke I cannot pronounce. He begins with header something.
Header Ganage or header Ganage.
There we go. And he has just appeared.
7 chances created in the last game.
Yeah, and so that's pretty good. And goal threat too. Van La Parra we mentioned, Mounier, both on 5 shots on target over the last 4. That's pretty much the best we've got on offer. Mounier, 14 shots in total last 4. That's the same as Salah. So he's a really good one as well. Zaha's back. He's just back. It's hard to judge, really. So I think there's loads of potential. All of those I mentioned there could get double-digit hauls, or they could all completely fall flat. Really,
I think this is the fixture for the free hit managers. I think if I was free hitting, I would go to town on this one, because I'm not going to be able to get any of these players in, because I'm going Stanislas for my 5th midfielder. Unless I take a hit and get Mounier in up front or Benteke, I'm probably not going to have any of the players here. So if I was free hitting, I would probably go to town a bit on this one, because I think you got Van Aanholt, you got Zaha and Benteke for Palace, and I would probably say Pritchard, Van La Parra, Moy, Mounier for Huddersfield, and one of their defenders. Granville, what's your view on this fixture? Do you fancy anything on offer?
I do fancy Steve Mounier. I think he can. He had a number of shots last week, didn't he? Against, but they were against 10 men, weren't they? I know.
Yeah.
Swansea obviously defending for their lives, which it's always difficult to judge a game like that. You know, when you look at the stats, you think, oh, they had all those chances and they didn't score. Was that because of, because Swansea just had the power, put everyone into the box? Who knows? I am looking at. I mean, I was talking about getting Schindler last week, and I think I've missed that one because I've got other ideas on my defender. But I think I am going to do Kane to Mounier.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've got to say, I think he's the best Huddersfield attacker on offer. And if I was going for forward, I think I'd be tempted. Andy, anything here? I mean, do you fancy a gamble on Zaha?
Yeah, I said last week if he got minutes, I think he'd suddenly come into our thinking. So he's pretty much going to start now. I think everyone that went for Huddersfield defenders last year, I think they played that right. 2 nice home fixtures. I don't think anyone's now looking at Huddersfield defenders with Zaha back necessarily. So I don't know. You could target that game for clean sheets and hope for the best, but I just think Zaha is the difference in that Crystal Palace team. Otherwise, I'm not really looking at any. Van Aanholt maybe. If you want an attacking defender, wouldn't grudge anyone that. But I'm not looking at Benteke now. I think there's just other forwards that I want. He came on off at half time, which makes me a little bit worried. I know it's tactical and it might just be that match. And to be fair to him, he's returned quite a lot of times in recent weeks, but just puts me off him now. So, yeah, Mounier probably. I just don't know if Huddersfield are going to keep a clean sheet now with Zaha back. I think he's that beneficial to the Palace team. They need him that much. So I'm not probably looking at them. If I was on a free hit, I'd maybe look at Zaha, Mounier maybe. But again, I think I'd prefer Wilson or King if I'm getting a striker.
Okay. As any feeling this at all?
Just I was considering Benteke, but he got subbed at half time, and I just think he's too much of a gamble now to kind of go near. So I'll be switching to 5 in midfield, and I'm between getting in Zaha or Shaqiri. The good thing about Zaha as well is that he boosts the appeal of Milivojevic, because he is the kind of player who can easily win a penalty. So it's good to have him. It's good to have him back. And I like him. You know, he's a good player, and he's capable of getting some returns. And I actually think Palace are going to win that game comfortably. I don't think Huddersfield are going to be able to contain him. And so in thinking that, I should probably go for him. But then I'm going without Shaqiri, who I think could hurt in some of the mini leagues. So that's a bit tough. But yeah, I'm not going to have a Huddersfield defender, because I think Palace are going to win that game. I think 2 or 3-0. And Zaha gets some returns.
Yeah, I do fancy Palace might win that 2-1 or something like that. I think there'll be a few goals in it. And yeah, I'm not expecting much from Zanka, but it was getting him in last week. That was the point of getting the defender in, I think. I think Palace have got enough to win that game for sure, with Zaha back.
What about
Huddersfield?
Sorloth, he seems to be a bit more nailed on than Benteke. And
yeah, it's a strange decision that, taking Benteke off at half time. I was a bit surprised by that. Huddersfield, I don't know how many goals they can get. That's the only issue. Mounier is their best option, but have they got 2 or 3 goals in a game in them? They got 4 against Bournemouth, I guess, but that'd be down to Jonty's stats on the defence. So I as I say, I'm not going to be getting in at the players in. I think I'm going to go Stanislas over Zaha. That's the one call I've got to make, but I think I will go Stanislas. Jonty, what are you doing here? I mean, you've already got Van La Parra. Are you stopping there?
Yeah, I'm stocked up. I've got Schindler. I've had Schindler for 10 game weeks. I didn't even know. I've actually only played him 3 times, and he's got me points, clean sheet, and bonus on 2 of those occasions. So yeah, the omens are good. So play him again. I mean, I've got Van La Parra. Moy, I like the look of. He was a player I got in earlier this season. I've got Milivojevic as well. So I'm hopeful there. I think there's goals. I just don't think there's going to be clean sheets in this. As I said, I cannot. It's really hard to predict, but I just think there's going to be goals on either side. I think they're both quite frail, and they've both got a lot of attacking talent there against a terrible defence. So if that works out, it could easily be a 2-2 this one. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's go to the easiest one to predict: Liverpool versus Watford. Yeah. Have we actually got any questions on this? I mean,
well, we have, because Andy alluded to it earlier as well. Liverpool v Watford, Liverpool at home. We've got to be looking at tripling up on Liverpool assets, but which ones? So count 14 for those with 2 Liverpool players already. That's most cases. That's going to be Salah and Firmino. Is Mane the go-to option, or is it a defender? And Lego Mane brings up an interesting point. And we were talking earlier about it with the rough, with the smooth, about captaining a differential. It's worked out for those that went for the likes of Mahrez and Son. Captaining a differential. Everyone's going to be captaining Salah. But say Salah maybe only gets 1 goal, and say one of the other ones we've mentioned there, maybe they get a double-digit haul. Is captaining a differential in this blank game week actually as crazy as it seems? And he's put forward a case for that, really. And one of the players he mentions actually is Firmino. So in terms of captaining a differential there, Firmino is one he puts forward there. But I think if you're going to captain a differential, then I don't want to call him a differential as such, but I think you've probably got a good one there. But for me, I cannot see past the Salah captaincy. I think that's the easiest decision for any FPL manager this week is Captain Salah.
And Firmino's got 44% ownership, so it's not
it's not really
the same thing as Salah or Kane.
Yeah, if you're going to go down
this week,
if you're brave and you're daring to be different, you've got to be looking at someone like Stanislas, really, or one of the Bournemouth players, Josh King, something like that.
Well, you could go Mane. I think Mane's got low enough ownership, I think, and I think that could prove effective. But the thing is, I think from my perspective, I've already got the fact that I'm taking 10 or 11 game week players in should be enough to get me a green arrow. So I don't have to take a risk with the captaincy. If I only had 5 or 6 players and I wasn't free hitting, I might think about it, because you're kind of like trying to save something, aren't you? Trying to claw some back. So that would be the only scenario. And I probably would go Mane if I was going to do it. But I just think it's, if you've got 10 or 11 double game week, single game with 31 players, you don't need to take that risk. You should have enough differentials as it is. As for the defence, I think it's difficult. It comes down to the ceiling for me, as in the attacking players. You can see double figures arriving for one of Firmino, Mane or Salah. We don't know for sure. It could be more than one, but I think one of those three will get double figures, a goal and assist and some bonus perhaps. Which of the three? It's so difficult to predict. Salah would be the favoured one. That's why he's our captain. But the other two could easily deliver. So I think you've got to have all three to catch that. Obviously, I'd love to have a Liverpool defender as well, because I think they're the most likely clean sheet as well. And Van Dijk has got a good ceiling. I think he could get double figures. But I'm going to stick with the three attackers, simply because I think it's very difficult to see which of those three is going to deliver. But I think we're pretty certain one of them will. So that's me on that. Andy, how are you feeling about Liverpool-Watford?
Yeah, I think everything's been said already. That Liverpool should win, although I would find it hilarious if Watford win 1-0. I think it would be just brilliant. All this planning, keeping Liverpool players, and then
the Charleston goal.
Oh, even better, yeah. I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, I'm going Mane. I think a Liverpool defender could keep up with him. But if you're getting someone now for this week, I think it's probably better to go for Mane. I mean, the time to get a Liverpool defender was probably a few weeks ago. And then captain, yes, people have captain differentials last week, but Salah was playing Man United away. It's a totally different fixture. I think now to not captain him, you're completely betting against the odds. And I just don't think this is the week not to captain. If you want to captain, if you want to go for a week where you don't captain Salah, we've got double game weeks and stuff coming up. There are going to be chances to go into game weeks where we don't have to captain him. I don't see a big enough return from Mane or Firmino to warrant what could be a huge mistake again. The man just scores goals, gets goals and assists every week pretty much, apart from when he plays Man United.
And of course, if Harry Kane is sidelined, the Golden Boot is almost there. It's in sight for him, isn't it? So
that's such a markism.
Well, it's true. I mean, he's relentless, and I do think the two of them were going for it, but I think it's kind of in the bag now.
But what you're saying is that you think that Salah is just going to give that a little bit extra because he's thinking about the Golden Boot.
No, I think he's more selfish.
Kane's not around now, so he's got a chance of winning the Golden Boot.
I do think that Kane and Salah are more selfish at this stage in the season when they're going for the leading score. I do think it's a little bit.
No, but
teams help them as well. Teams help them try and feed them the ball more to get them it. He saw it with Drogba a few seasons ago when he took that penalty in one of the last games.
I think we saw with Kane at the end of last season, it was absolutely devastating what he did in the last 3 or 4 games, and I think the Golden Boot played a part in that. I think he was just like, look, I'm shooting at every opportunity, and he got ridiculous scores, didn't he? So I think it was a factor for him. And is it a factor for Salah? I don't know. I think he wants to win it. I don't think he's going to hide that.
I always wonder, just how much really behind the scenes they talk about stuff like this. But even Salah last week came out with the fact that he'd scored against all the top 6 clubs apart from Man United, and that he really wanted to get a goal against them. So I don't know. Maybe this stuff goes on behind the scenes more than we think it does. So. Like you said, Kane was just—I know he shoots a lot anyway, but the end of last season was ridiculous. He barely made a pass in the games against Leicester and whoever the other one was. I can't remember now. So I think there's maybe something in it. I mean, Salah's scoring really well anyway, so I mean, I don't know how much more that guy can score.
Yeah, we're going to have him regardless, aren't we? So, Granville, what's your thoughts on Liverpool? I mean, are you going with the 3 attackers then? I guess. Oh, you got Alexander-Arnold, so you can't.
Yeah, well, this puts me in a sort of tricky situation. Not because I was thinking about transferring him out before last weekend when he was exposed for at least one of the Rashford goals, and it makes me think, oh gosh, do you think I'm going to get dropped? Do you think Klopp would do that to him, or do you think he's still going to have the confidence in him? Would he just do that to a young player, drop him after he's had a tricky game? I think he's played in the last 4 or 5. So he does look like he's preferred. But do you think that with Gomez back on the bench and he could play, do you think that's going to happen? And
I think home to Watford, Alexander-Arnold plays basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a transfer that I don't really have the luxury of actually playing that transfer when I need to replace the other players. So I will be keeping him. It's just. Is he the best? I mean, if he plays, then great, absolutely brilliant. Because I think he is someone who can certainly assist and he can score. So, and that could be a really good differential. But if he doesn't play, then I'm down by one Liverpool player, where everyone else has got 3 Liverpool attackers, or they've got Van Dijk. So that does put me in that would put me in a sort of a disadvantage. So I've already got my 3 Liverpool players, and captaining Salah. There's no doubt about it. He's the top man for the captaincy this week. And I think if I was chasing, I probably would. It was a chase. It was like a 300,000 or something. I probably would consider a differential captain, but I'm quite happy with going with Salah again. And I've captained him so much this season. I can't. It would really annoy me if everyone else then got the captaincy right with him.
You're his biggest supporter in terms of the captaincy here. So
with Watford, I mean, we haven't really mentioned Watford players. Troy Deeney he didn't score last week, but he scored in the previous 2 games. He could be the option for the 3rd striker, most definitely. But I can't really see anything. I mean, you might pick the keeper for the saves, but I can't see any point in going for any defenders. Decore, he's popped up with many goals. I think he scored 5 or 6 this season. And Richarlison's been a bit of a disappointment after a great start.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. I just don't see Watford scoring. I think they might keep it down. I think they might keep it to a 2-0. But we hope they don't. We hope that there's plenty of goals, because if we're going to load up the Liverpool attack, we want plenty of goals there. But I think I don't see Watford scoring. I just can't see it. I just don't think they're offering enough at the moment. And I think the Arsenal performance was disappointing and confirmed that for me. Had they got something at Arsenal, had they scored a couple of goals, I might have changed my mind. But what I saw there, nothing did. As your thoughts on Liverpool and where you're going with your 3 slots?
Yeah, so just 2 things really. I mean, I just think no matter where you are in the world, whether you're first in the world, whether you're 5 million in the world, not captaining Salah is just the craziest thing you could do, because everyone's going to do it, and let other people make mistakes. There's going to be people around you wherever you are that don't do it, that don't captain him, go for someone else, and his ownership is going to be so high that if he scores a hat trick or 3 goals, that is literally your season finished. Why risk it? I can't see any logic in doing it. If you want to go for something a bit different, triple captain him. This is a great week, I think, to triple captain someone. Like he's I think he's going to be motivated by not scoring against United. Kane's injury, I think, will affect him. I think he's gonna give him something. It's gonna make him more selfish, and it's gonna make him want to score. Watford are just awful. They've just got absolutely hammered by Arsenal. Their confidence is low. I think there's loads of good reasons for captaining Salah and even triple captain him. So that'd be my advice. If you're looking for something a bit different, give him the triple captaincy. I've got a Liverpool defender. I've got Van Dijk. I think I'm the only one of us who has him, which I'm quite happy with. He hasn't been as good as I thought he'd be when I signed him, but he's had a lot of chances. I mean, in that United game, he was towering above United centre backs, and I think he should have scored at least one goal in that. I fancy him against Watford, and that frees up. There's quite a few midfield options who have emerged now. So Stanislas, you've got Shaqiri, you've got an Everton mid, Pritchard, Van La Parra. I think there's enough midfield options now to go without having Salah and Mane. So even if I was free hitting, I think I'd still go for Van Dijk, Firmino and Salah. So I'm quite happy with those.
Interesting view. I mean, I got getting Mane in a few weeks was one of the positive things I've done recently. So I can't regret that, and I'm confident taking him in. But I think Van Dijk could easily get double figures out of that game. And if Watford do keep it down, then he could end up being a top scorer. And he has had goal chances, and they will concede chances at set pieces. Watford are pretty weak on those. So I think there's every reason to back Van Dijk, but I still think that the three attackers is the way to go. It's the safest way in, because one of them I think will do big. John T, finally, just to close.
Yeah, that's it.
What's your thoughts on
Salah? We all know about him. Firmino, last 4 game weeks, created 11 chances. That's miles more than any other Liverpool player. So lots of assist potential there. He's actually had more shots on target than any other Liverpool player over the last 4 game weeks. He's great. And I'm going for Mane over Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk's potential to score, definitely. But he's had 4 goal attempts, which is not bad over the last 4 game weeks for a defender. Not bad, but only 1 on target. Now, that's quite typical of a defender. Whereas Mane, he's had 14 goal attempts and 4. Money's no object as well, so I'm not looking at Mane going, I can't afford him. It's a straight choice between those two. Mane wins it for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the way. I think that's the consensus here. Okay, we're going to have a quick look at some early wildcard planning, I think, Jonty.
Yeah, lots of people are asking about this. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with some things, but we know the sorts of teams that are probably going to get double game weeks, mainly because they've just blanked. So we know they've got to fill in a game somewhere. We think it's going to be game week 34.
Yeah.
So David Isaac, who incidentally is ranked 83rd in the world and is 8th in our league, so he knows what he's doing, is wildcarding in game week 33 a better option than game week 32? He says it's closer to game week 34 when you use bench boost, triple captain, that type of thing. And using it in 32 with 34 in mind, 2 game weeks. That's a long time in FPL. Good Johnson asks about City. They're going to be rotating. Are any City players in our plans, whether we're wildcarding or not, after from game week 32 onwards? Amanji has no name. He likes Lucas Son as well. Is he in our plans? Particularly with Mike Harborough brings up about Kane as well. Kane being out, so with Son actually the kind of the best Spurs attacking option now. And Jack of Spades and Hazard is a FPL legend. Similar thoughts about game week 32 over game week 33 for the wildcard. So Mark, I thought this because you've explained this to you blue in the face really, but it's a good chance for you just to remind people why you think that using a wildcard in game week 32 is better than game week 33.
Well, there's 2 factors, of course, because we're taking game week 31 players beyond 32, and unfortunately we've got a lot of teams there who've got tough fixtures first of all. So Everton and Stoke have got dreadful fixtures in game week 32. So I'll have to take Shaqiri and Walcott into tough fixtures and Pickford as well. I don't really fancy that. And I've got players like Quanar there that really, the only reason I've kept him is because he's got game week 31 coming up. So I've got players that I want to get rid of. I'll have Schindler 2 with 2 away games. The other factor is the reason why it's 32 over 33, as well as obviously you get 1 more week with the wild card, so it should be an advantage there. If you play it right, of course, is that if you play it in 32, you can bank your transfer in 33. So you play your wild card, hoping that you haven't got to make a transfer in 33, and you really shouldn't need to because you're setting your team up for longer. And then if you don't make a transfer in 33, that gives you 2 transfers in 34. So you've got 2 changes for free going into a double game week. If you play the wild card in 33, you can't get that. You can only take 1 into 34. And so what David Isaac says is spot on. 1 game week is a long time, which for me, taking 2 transfers into 34 gives me that advantage. Whereas obviously if you play it in 33, yes, you're closer to 34, but you've only got 1 transfer unless you take a hit going into 34. So I think one counters the other, and I think when you throw in the argument that I'd have to take Shaqiri, Pickford, Schindler, Walcott into bad fixtures in 32, plus I get the extra transfer for 34, I think that wins it for me. I think it's signed and sealed. So that's what I'm doing, and I've kind of committed to that in my head. Plus, you get the break, you get longer to procrastinate over the wild card, which I think is all part of the fun. But much rather play a wild card over 15 days than over 6 or 7. So yeah, that's my reasons there. I think that's a pretty good argument. Andy, how are you feeling about when you're playing it? Are you sold on it?
Yeah, so I was originally siding with 32 to get rid of all the 31 players, but I think it depends who you loaded up on because Huddersfield have got Newcastle away, Bournemouth have got Watford away. They're not the worst fixtures if you've got more of those than kind of Everton and Stoke players. I think Kane has kind of changed the game a bit because my original plan was to get Kane out this week for a blank, someone who's going to play this week. And then in 32, I was going to take a punt on Lukaku or Aubameyang because Kane would have been playing Chelsea. And then I was going to wildcard Kane back in 33 and have the full knowledge of everything that's happened just before we then played a bench boost. But now Kane's out, that punt will probably be someone that's going to be in my wildcard team anyway, especially Aubameyang. I think he's now going to be in everyone's teams. So having that extra transfer and delaying the wildcard, I don't know if that's worth it now. The only thing I'd like to avoid is having to get, because I think we're going to want Spurs and Chelsea players, and they're going to all play against each other in 32. So you're potentially bringing in players that aren't going to get too many points. But yeah, because of that Kane injury, if he's confirmed out, which it sounds, I mean, if they're talking about May, then he's definitely going to be out for 32, you'd imagine at this point. Then yeah, I'm looking at a wildcard in 32 because there's a couple of other things. One, people who don't have wildcards are going to be left with all these 31 players. That's another way to get ahead of them.
Yeah.
And if Kane's out, I want that money elsewhere in my team. And like you said, Son is just such an easy option now. Him and Ali, I think, suddenly become much better options. I think Ali last year kind of stepped up when Kane was out, and Son got moved more up front. So I'm probably going to go for 32 now, but I was looking at 33 before the injury.
Yeah. As your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't think it's completely clear cut. I think there's pros and cons to both. I mean, Liverpool. I mean, if you're wildcarding, you might want to be losing Liverpool players because they've got, they haven't got a double coming up. But really, do you want to be losing Firmino and Mane when they've got Crystal Palace away straight after the blank? So you might be looking at keeping those two, and then suddenly one of your transfers is already gone, getting rid of one of those when if. So I don't know. It's a bit of a funny one. I'm 75-80% sure that I'm going to wildcard on Saturday. It's just as soon as I can. I actually want to tap into Arsenal, which if you can believe it, I think Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan, they've just got such an incredibly good run of fixtures coming up.
Well, they've got the back-to-back home game, Stoke, Southampton.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, I think that's probably the route I'm going to go down. It depends on your team. I mean, the Chelsea and Tottenham fixture, it really does fall at an awkward time because they're two teams that I would really like to load up on, especially with the free hit, because you can bring in the players, and then if they've got the blank for the FA Cup game, you can free hit them out, and then you can bring them back. Then they come back in again. So that would be nice. In fact, they play, so I just can't see many points for players like Son and Hazard and Alonso in that. So you're kind of wildcarding without much expectation of getting many points if you go with those players. That's a bit tough. I'm not totally convinced in either of them. There's pros and cons to both. I think it just depends on your team. Sitting on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Spurs. I still think like you can go Alonso and Hazard at home to Spurs. I don't think that. I think they're players that you can take into tough matches, and Son as well. I'd be all right with that.
They've both got nothing.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I do think though that's okay. I think that's acceptable, and you're not going to bench any of those players. I know, and I guess you could. I don't know whether I'm going to keep Hazard. I guess I am because with 34 in mind. Alonso I definitely want, and Son I definitely want. So I guess that is a problem. But Chelsea Spurs could be difficult to call. I mean, they've got to get. I guess they could play out a 0-0, but equally there could be goals there. Definitely could be goals there.
I think one advantage is this is now Kane exit, but this is the perfect time to Kane exit, and you can now spread those funds around. And the earliest opportunity to do that is on Saturday.
This is it.
Do you think Kane being out is good or bad? Because for those of us that kept triple captain, that's now one less option. So those who've used it are probably quite happy. And I like the fact we can now spread our money. But I think now a decision's taken away from people. Some people were looking at Aubameyang before 32, and now maybe that everyone's looking at him because he's just an easier way to get in. So I don't know what you guys think about Kane being out, whether it's a good or a bad thing for the game. Obviously, it's bad for him. But
I always think it's bad when the most expensive player is out because it means that people end up going. Well, okay, let's spend the money. Do you think it's going to make people's teams more different? Probably not. Everyone's going to end up captaining Salah for sure.
They're doing that anyway, I guess.
Yeah. Well, now they are, except for Mark. But I don't think. No, it's probably not too good for the game. If you think about it, because he'd be tying up so much money. I don't know. I mean, I think with the wild card, I think you're worried about Chelsea and Spurs. I mean, you can bench those players. I mean, I'm going to be going in with definitely Alonso. I'm not selling him, and Son, at least them two, and probably maybe even Willian, if I do actually get him on the wild card. But I think because you've got a wild card, you've got the choice of any player, and you can look at there's some quite good fixtures there. I mean, Brighton home to Leicester, United home to Swansea, so you can create a good starting 11 and bench the Chelsea and Spurs players.
City's an interesting one as well because I mean, we kind of need a City player, you'd think, but
you have to have a City attacking player.
I can't work out which one to get because there's the rotation and they have won the league soon, and just pick one and stick with them, I think, and hope for the best.
I still think Sterling. I know John T before said Silva just because he scored a brace in the last game, but I don't think Silva is as reliable this season as Sterling. Sterling's a bit more expensive. I still would go for it, even though I don't have him now, and I'll probably I think it'll cost me 0.3 to get him back. He might even go down, actually. He probably will go down again because of his ownership and he's not playing this week. But De Bruyne is a player that I've always wanted this season, never got him. But I have a feeling that because he hasn't done much in the last few weeks, I don't think people would be looking towards him. They'll be looking to Sané or Sterling.
Yeah, it's so tricky, man.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm probably going to keep Otamendi.
I think the issue is that we're looking at these players for double game weeks, but which City player is going to play back-to-back games or 3 games in 7 days? It's very hard to see.
Don't you?
I mean, I'm a current De Bruyne owner, and I'll be very disappointed with his FPL returns away from home. And the problem is he's just not offering that value for that money. And Sterling, Otamendi, arguably, and Silva are. I mean, I've been having a look at the potential double game weeks, game week 34, who are the good teams. So what I'm looking for is good teams and good teams leading up to that as well. And that's what's swaying me to game week 32. Arsenal, we've mentioned. It looks like they're probably going to be playing Leicester and Newcastle away in double game week 34. And prior to that, as you said, they got back-to-back home games, Stoke, Southampton. And that's fantastic. So, and Aubameyang, he can't play in Europa League. So you've got to get him in, I think. I think he just looks an absolute must. I don't have him in. I'd love to get an Arsenal defender as well. Just nailing the one that's not going to get rotated. That's tricky at the moment. And looking at the other fixtures as well, Brighton have actually got a really nice run of fixtures and a double. I know one's Man City away, but Murray could score a penalty in that. Got Palace away as well. Tricky to call. Could be anything. Burnley got a couple of home games. I know Chelsea and Leicester are going to score, but what I'm looking for is those kind of cheaper players who are going to get me something for a bench boost as well. And that's what I'm looking at. So I've kind of started a draft of a wild card, and I've already got Fabianski. Now, Swansea, I think, are absolute goldmine for tiny, cheap players, basically. Yes, they have Manchester United away next, but they've got West Brom away, and then Everton at home within a double game week 34. And within that double game week 4, they've got Everton and Southampton. So I think Fabianski is perfect.
Both at home as well, aren't they?
Both at home. Absolute both at home. And De Gea, Dave saves. He saves. He's called Dave. He's got to be in, really. He's the best goalkeeper in the game. So Fabianski, De Gea are my goalkeepers currently at the moment. I'm looking at Christensen, but I'd like to get Azpilicueta. So we'll have to see. Murray, I think, is great. Otamendi, I'm keeping hold of him. I didn't realise I'd actually got him for 5.8. So I think that's a bargain. I think Otamendi's the most reliable of all of the City assets.
Yeah, I think he's most likely to play back-to-back games.
And then at midfield, so we talk, as mentioned it, about Kane and Andy as well, spreading that Kane money around. So I'm looking at the midfield. And midfield is where all the points traditionally are. And I'm looking at Mahrez, keeping Salah, David Silva, Son, and then I've got a blank space. I want a cheap midfielder there. I'm going to keep hold of Firmino as well. He's got such great fixtures. Aubameyang. And some kind of 5-6 million striker. So Murray, Jordan Ayew when he's back.
Yeah.
When he's back from suspension. I think he comes back just in time.
He does, yeah.
Which is very well timed. So I was thinking something like perhaps Murray and then Ayew. That could be good as well. And then I'm looking for a couple of cheap defenders, maybe 3 cheap defenders. Really depends if I go for Azpilicueta. These are just some of the thoughts, and I think lots of other people are having them as well. But there's some real Mahrez, I think, looks a must for me. Son with Kane absence looks great. De Gea just fantastic, and Fabianski. I always recommend him every week, but I especially recommend him now with those fixtures and double.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think with the Kane injury, this is going to hurt people who don't have the wild card because they can't get him out and use the funds as easily as people who have got the wild card. So I think we've got to leap on this, use it in 32 and start spreading that money out and try and make the most of it while we've got it. Those without the wild card, unless they take hits, are going to take time to benefit from that. So I think it's a problem for those who don't have the wild card. I think it's a big blow. It's a blow to us all. I hope that Kane is back for 37. I mean, maybe he will be, and maybe Spurs will get to the semi-finals. They'll get a double game week 37, and then Kane comes back for the double game week then. If he doesn't, we have got a problem for the triple captain. I think that question is spot on. I think that is now an issue. Maybe United will get to the semi-final and we've got Lukaku, maybe. I don't know. We're going to end up with a really dodgy triple captain again, I think, Andy. I think that's what we're looking at.
I know, I'm getting a bit worried about it now.
I'm not going to say his name again. But,
in some ways, though, because people have used it on Kane, and they didn't get anything. I don't feel under so much pressure to get something. And it might be quite interesting to use it on someone different.
Don't bring that up.
But it won't be Andy Carroll for sure.
No,
anyone, but
absolutely not this time. Okay, let's do the shortened weekend preview then to round things off. Fancy Olivis and clean sheets. Let's go to you, Andy, first. Clean sheet. You got 4 fixtures, so we're going to struggle here, aren't we? Go on, who are you going for?
I'm not going to take the obvious ones. I'm going to back Everton. I think, like people have pointed out in the questions, it's almost a completely different backline now. The only worry is that they got a lot of midfield injuries now. Like Gay is still out, I think, and things like that. So that doesn't help them. But Baines, Coleman, Jagielka all in. I don't think Stoke are going to score that many. So I'm going to back Baines and Coleman to both those clean sheets.
Okay, and your fancy on risk?
I'm going to back Rondon. I think Bournemouth concede, and I think if West Brom are going to score, and they have to start scoring if they want to stay in this league, which looks impossible at this stage, but still, I'm going to back Rondon as an outside bet.
Okay, yeah, as your clean sheet, fancy on risk.
Well, Liverpool is too obvious, so I won't pick them. And I said
someone's got to. So
yeah, well, I said earlier in the Scoutcast that I think Palace are going to win 3-0. So I'm going to back Palace to keep a clean sheet.
Okay, nice.
There you go.
And your risk?
I think it's going to have too much for Huddersfield, and Huddersfield won't see much of the ball. And my risk, I'm going to go for Coleman because I'm apparently now the head of his fan club. No, I really like Coleman. I think he's a great. He's like the perfect FPL player. His price was just too high this season, even if he wasn't injured, I think, and I don't think many people would have considered him, especially with Everton's defensive frailties. But in seasons gone by, he really has been a great pick, and he's another nostalgia pick. And and
it's that deadly partnership with Theo Walcott down the right hand side that surely will come to fruition. It would be hilarious if it did, if Coleman and Walcott both delivered. Okay, that's fine. Granville, your clean sheet and your fancy Island risk.
Okay, it seems a bit ridiculous having a fancy Island risk when we've only got 8 teams.
Well,
and I'm going to go for my favourite and another nostalgia pick, Chris Brunt. He's actually been, Chris Brunt, the man with the rocket shot, and I think he has been playing the last couple of games. So chance, and Bournemouth obviously can't defend. That could be any score. Clean sheet. Who's left?
Liverpool.
Oh, okay. Oh, Liverpool. Yeah,
you got to have Liverpool, Granville, surely.
I think I'm going to go for Liverpool. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, someone's got to have them, so that's totally
I just fancy it to get a clean sheet against Watford. I don't know why. It seems, it just seems.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good gut feeling. John T, your risk and your clean sheet.
So clean sheet. Who's left?
Liverpool, Palace, and Everton have gone.
Yeah, you got
Watford. I'm
going
to say Stoke then. Go for Stoke. I think.
Okay.
Stoke Everton could be a 0-0. Risk now.
Walcott's going to score.
What risk? I'm going to go for Aaron Moy, who hasn't been mentioned a lot because he's been out injured a little bit, and there's been some other players picking up. But I think you can't get it down to basics. What is this game about? Who's on set pieces? Who's involved with goals? It's Aaron Moy basically. He's the most likely to assist. And I think he's going to be overlooked, really. And I think he could get at least a goal or an assist.
Okay, nice one. I'm going to go for the Bournemouth clean sheet, and I'll go Adam Smith as my differential, my fancy Island risk rather. I think he'll play midfield, and he's got a shot on him. And I don't know if West Brom will score. I don't know. I think it's a tough one to call. So I'll go with Bournemouth clean sheet. I think there's got to, other than Liverpool, there's got to be another clean sheet somewhere here. So I think Bournemouth is as good as any. Unpredictable that they are. Okay, captains and transfer. I'll start this off. It's pretty simple, mine, because I need Firmino. So it was going to be Vardy out, but it's probably going to be Kane out once we know confirmation of the injury. And Hazard will go to Stanislas because I don't lose any money on Hazard. So if I want him back in the wild card, that's fine. Whereas with Alonso and Vardy, I'll lose a bit of money if I get rid and want them back. So Hazard to Stanislas is probably going to be the midfield one. Zaha, I'm kind of thinking about. And then Kane to Firmino. And it'll be Salah captain for once. Can't really argue with that one. Andy, what are you up to?
So I'm captain Salah, of course. I'm going to take a -4 at least, because that'll get me up to 10 players. So it'll be Kane and somebody out. Kane and Eriksen out for Mane, and I really want to back Bournemouth, but there's a little part of me that really wants to get Rondon, which just sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. So a striker. Yeah, a striker, Rondon or Wilson probably, and then Mane in. I may take a -8 if I wildcard in game week 32.
Here it goes again, Jonty.
Well, that get me up to 11, although that does include Walcott and Crouch. I don't know if you can include that.
I think Crouch could do all right. I think
Do you know what? If Crouch scores a goal, it'll be the best thing of this weekend.
he'll play, I think.
Yeah, so I may take him. If I'm going to wildcard in game week 32, I wouldn't lose too much money on taking Mahrez out. So I may do Mahrez to Stanislas and just go for the full 11. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, and Ed?
Yeah, I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to take a -8 and get 11 out. And the players who I'm bringing in, I think, all have potential, to pay that back. I'm going to bring in Coleman for Kenny because Kenny's not going to play. I'm going to take Hazard out for Stanislas, and I'm going to take Mahrez out for either Zaha or Shaqiri. And I just think all I need is for one of those players to get a decent score, and there's no risk of the players I'm taking out getting anything. So the worst I can lose is -4, as we've talked about, potentially, unless there's bookings and things. But the reward is up for grabs, so I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, no, I get your point, and it's brave stuff. I mean, I think you should be all right. You should break even at the very least there, I would say. I think one of those three's got to get something, haven't they? You would think. So yeah, with the points for playing as well, you should be all right. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it, Jonty? That?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, what I'm doing is obviously Salah captain, has to. I've only got one slot left amongst my 7 midfielders and forwards, so that's going to go, as I said earlier, to Mane. I'm going to take KDB out. KDB is someone I don't think I want. I think I would lose 0.1 or something, so I just don't think he offers the same value for a wild card. So I get him out for Mane, and then I'm going to take a hit to come up to 10. And my only slot's really in defence, so I need someone who I think is going to repay that hit. So that's either going to be Jack Butland or Leighton Baines. It's going to be one of those two, I think. Depending how I feel, I might, as we get nearer, blank game week fever may strike me, and I might take a -8 to get both of them. But I probably won't. I think that would be too crazy. I think I would take a -8 if it involved some attacking players. So I think -4 probably where I'll leave it, and I'll go out. I'm going to play stick goalie probably.
Only last week you were talking down playing hits, and you see how as we get closer,
it
takes over.
I think -4 is acceptable. I think Baines and Mane between them will repay that. And as I said, go stick goalie. There's open goal.
Yeah, fair enough. And Granville, we'll end on you. Your transfers and your captain.
I think I've got 2 free transfers, so I think I'm going to get 4 players and do a -8.
Woof.
And I think I don't see any point not going for 11, and particularly, I mean, okay, I'll tell you what I'm probably going to do. I'm going to get Kane out for Meunier. I'm going to get Sigurdsson out for Stanislas, Chilwell out for Baines, I think, and I think I'm going to get Butland. I might as well. I mean, I haven't got a keeper. I should get a keeper, or I could look to the other game, the Huddersfield game, and get Lossell. That could be an option, because if I get Butland, then I've got Walcott, so that kind of cancels that out.
And your captain is Salah, of course.
Yeah,
absolutely, goes without saying. Interesting stuff. I mean, we're all taking hit. I mean, I'm not going to. I don't need to take a hit, so I don't think I will. So I think it's. The only way I take a hit is if I was going to get rid of Colin and maybe get Meunier. I think about it. It's tempting. It's tempting. Yeah, I'll have 11 with my 2 free transfers.
It's worth. Do you think it's worth? Are they all? If you got Quaner in, I would actually get 12.
Yeah, well, this is it. I'd have to take a hit to get Quaner out, or get Vardy out, but then I'd lose 0-1. I don't know.
No,
come on, 0-1's nothing. 0-1 is nothing.
I know, but it's still, Vardy's a player I might keep actually. It's either Vardy or Mahrez, isn't it, for double game week? I could do it. I could take a hit just yet. Given how many hits you lot are taking, I might as well do, because it sounds like there's going to be hits galore if this is anything to go by across the board. So it's going to be a very interesting one. We've been waiting. I mean, I had to get game week 31 out of the way, get the break out of the way, and then we can start wildcarding. We've got the international break next week, so we won't be on air next Tuesday. It'll be the week after, when we will pick the bones out of game week 31 and see just how effective it's been. I'll be glorying in the Theo Walcott hat-trick, of course, and as we'll be celebrating Seamus Coleman's assist and Baines' blank. A lot of support for Baines tonight. Let's see how he does. Sir Leighton, one of my favourites. We will see you in a couple of weeks when we'll be wildcarding by the sound of it as well. So that will be some episode 1 to look forward to. We'll know about the double game weeks 2. So much to discuss in that one. That could be a big one. It's good night from me.
Good night.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night all.